Hello everyone. This is lesson number 4. This is where we took what we learned in lesson 3 with exponents, and we're now going to apply it to metric conversions. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the metric conversions right now because we'll revisit this later in the year. So I'm just going to give you the real basics of using exponents, powers of 10, to use in the metric system. We've talked a little bit at school that the metric system, what makes it so much easier to work with is that everything is in multiples of 10. So it's just kind of like what we've been doing with exponents. The conversions will go from 10 to 100 to 1,000 and so on and so forth. So it fits in really well with what we've been doing in place value, which is why they included it this early in the year. First though, I'm just going to give you a really simple conversion chart. I'm going to give you the real conversion chart to put in your journal, but I wanted to put something on the video. If you look at the prefixes will help you determine the size. Kilo is the largest. So if we're talking about a kilometer, a kilogram, those will always be your largest. Okay, and then the ones we're going to worry about now, next one would be whatever unit we're using. There are measurements between kilo and the units we're talking about, but for 5th grade, you don't really need to know those yet. So for unit, what I mean is we're going to talk about meters. And we already used meter sticks in measuring the flight of the airplanes. We're going to talk about grams. And we already used grams when we measured mass. So that's a weight measurement. And then the last one is liter. And we also talked about liters when we use our graduated cylinders. Liter is a liquid measurement. Okay, underneath that would be the prefix centa, like in centimeter. And then the smallest that we talk about this year is the milli, or milligram, millimeter, milliliter. And I'm going to write over here that that's the smallest. So as you're looking at these, when you're converting, just start to think about kilometer, kilogram, all of that is the largest. And then it goes down in size. The smallest is the prefix milli. Okay, let's talk about the little trick we used in class, because once you start doing your conversions, you have to know what operation you're going to use. So I wanted to remind you of when you're converting from a larger unit, so let's say meters, I'm going to put a little L for larger, to a smaller unit, put an L for smaller, and let's say millimeters. Okay, you're going larger to smaller, you multiply. And I hope at home you're doing the airplane motions that we do in the classroom to help you remember that larger to smaller is multiplication. Remember your arms end up making a little crisscross. Okay, now let's do the opposite. Let's do millimeter. And now we're going to meter. Okay, so this time we're going smaller to larger. And again, you should be doing those hand motions with me at home. When you're going smaller to larger, you are dividing. So when you're doing these, you need to find out first what operation you're doing. And then next you need to know about your conversions. Okay, let's clear this off. Okay. Let's see. Let's do, how about 3 meters? And let's convert it to centimeters. I'm just going to use the abbreviations. Okay, equals. Okay, the first thing I have to do is I have to come up here. This 3 is important. It's telling me what I'm converting. So I'm going to write that down here, 3. The next thing I want to look at, am I going larger to smaller or smaller to larger? So I'm going to look at my conversion chart. I'm going larger to smaller. And again, I know that larger to smaller is multiplication. So now I know my operation. And again, I'm going to say again, use the little trick that we do in class. Now I have to know what my conversion rate is from meters to centimeters. So I'm going to look at my conversion chart, and yours is in your journal if you have that at home, but I'll tell you it's 100. So we have 3 times 100. And 3 times 100, let me put my decimal point, 3 times 100 is 300. And I converted to centimeters, so it's going to be cm. So 3 meters equals 300 centimeters. And if you think about when we did our airplane experiment, you have your metric stick, okay? And we know that for 1 metric stick, there were 100 centimeters. So you can just count 1, 2, 3. And it kind of gives you a nice little visual to understand how you're doing it. Okay, let's take the same measurement and now do it with an exponent. So we'll do 3, I'm going to put my decimal point because it's a whole, times, and now instead of putting 100, I'm going to write it as an exponent, 10 to the second power. Again, the first thing you always have to think of is, what is 10 to the second power? It's 10 times 10. Put that in parentheses. And I know that 10 times 10 is 100. So I'm multiplying 3 times 100. And again, it still equals 300. I'm going to put it down here, centimeters. Okay, so all you did is added in an extra conversion when you did it with exponents. But hopefully you're all getting pretty good at figuring out the exponents, and it just kind of adds another little, something to your conversions. Okay, let's clear this off and let's do a division. Excuse me. How about 900? Here we go. 900 centimeters. I'm going to do cm, and we'll stick with my little meters. Okay, the first thing I'm going to think of is, okay, I know my number. One of my numbers is going to be 900 that I'm working with. Then I think, am I going smaller to larger or larger to smaller? I know I'm going smaller to larger. And again, I'm doing the little hand motions here at home, so I hope you are too. If I'm going smaller to larger, I just made a division sign with my arms. Okay, I'm going to look at my conversion sheet, and I know that it is 100. And 900 divided by 100 is 9. You can think about doing that little cross off the zeros trick. If you need to move your decimal point, remember it's here, and you're moving it in 2 places, 1, 2. And you can also use your place value chart if you need to. I'll draw one real quick, and it was 900. Decimal point, you were dividing it, so you know you're going 2 places this way. The 9 would go from the hundreds place to the ones place. Okay. Also, let's do it as an exponent. If we had 900 divided by 10 to the second power. Again, my first step is I have to think to myself, what is 10 to the second power? 10 times 10. Oh, excuse me, I need a sip of water. 900 divided by 10 to the second power, or 100, is, as we know from above, 9. There we go. So that's multiplying and dividing using conversion and using the metric system. And that's about as far as we're going to go with the metric system for now. Later in the year, we're going to go into more detail in the metric system. And in science, we're going to use the metric system all the time. But that's it for now. Hope you have a good night. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.